All right, joining me right now is the OKTAGON 2-division champion. Incredible journey he's had since joining the promotion less than 2 years ago. Light heavyweight champion, Will Fleury putting his heavyweight title on the line at OKTAGON 81 next weekend, December 28th at the O2. Huge show to wrap up the year, and he's joining us right now. Will, first off, rewind 2 years for me, right? December 2023, if someone sat you down and said, 2 years from now, you're going to hold the light heavyweight and heavyweight belts for one of the biggest promotions in Europe, and you're going to defend the title on one of their biggest ever shows, what would you be thinking if someone sat you down and told you that?
Honestly, I'm incredibly grateful for what's happened, but I would have said, yeah, I've done the work to make that a reality already. And I wouldn't have stayed going if I didn't think that that was possible. But I'm delighted it's become real, you know? So, I met you in April 24, just after I'd fought Daniel 4 and broken hand and fought with the broken hand and all that. And I think you could see, I think I said it in that interview as well. I was like, I'm in the door now and you're not getting rid of me, because I knew how significant that was. And I knew that once I got my foot in there, I was going to do special things. And having to clear that hurdle before that first fight, it made it like all bets are off now. You've come in and smashed number 5 guy with a broken hand. What can't you do here? And that's still how I feel. It's like the door is open now. Just keep performing and special things are going to happen. And yeah, I've made some special things happen already, but I'm very, very determined to keep doing it. And, that in a way, it's kind of one thing that I'm proud of. I haven't been fully satisfied by anything I've done. I haven't gone, oh, that was class. Well done, Will. And look, I can look back and go, yeah, that was an achievement. Well done. Great. But none of it is the end of my ambition. None of it has gotten to me to a point where I don't want more. And I really feel like I have a lot more to show, and I can be a lot better than I've been already. And it's exciting. It's exciting how far I can take this. So if you told me I was going to be a double champ in 2 years, I would have been very, very happy 2 years ago. And I am. I'm incredibly happy with how things have gone. But it's still it's part of a process, and I don't want it to end here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the DD Score fight. We spoke straight after your fight, and all the emotions came out in that interview. You dealt with a lot going in. You'd had a tricky time in your career. You'd moved across to OKTAGON. You got a nasty, nasty injury. I think you basically shattered your thumb, right? That's basically what happened. With sparring Sean Strickland at Extreme Couture. And then you couldn't pull out of that fight. You knew that it was kind of a do or die moment for you. You went in there, you got the fight, you got the win against a really respected guy in the organization. Just how much of a sliding doors moment was that for you, if you like? That was a sort of a do or die moment for you in your career.
It was huge, honestly. I've told this story once or twice before, but the day I broke the hand, I went home. I got an X-ray later that day, and then by that night I knew, yeah, your thumb is broken, and it's broken in probably more than one place. They had to actually X-ray the second time to see the other one. So it was very much like, oh, bollocks. And I'm coming off a year ban, and there was, it probably made sense not to fight. And then I was thinking, okay, it's been over a year since you fought already. You're 34 years old. Why are you still doing this? And I got to a point where I sat in the room and thought about it for nearly 2 or 3 days and was like, you know what? What do you have to lose by just trying? Because either way you're screwed. If you pull out here, you're screwed. I could feel like the England-Ireland thing with OKTAGON wasn't going the way they wanted it to go. And it was pretty likely if you didn't come in and do something a bit special, they were, not going to keep you on again. They were after promoting that DD 4 fight a fair bit already. I knew that the opportunity was significant there. And I just thought, show up, go for it. What's okay, maybe you fuck up your hand pretty bad and whatever. Thankfully, the hand didn't, it was bad during the fight, but it wasn't like I made it a lot worse by fighting. I'm really glad I took that risk, even though it was probably a bit silly at times and a bit dumb. Even in that 2 weeks, thinking about it, it was God, you're mad fuck, what are you doing here? Even during the warm-up, because I couldn't train at all. All I could do was hold my as an assault bike with one hand and pedal on the bike. So that's all the training I'd done for the 2 weeks before. And then when I'm warming up, like I couldn't fully flex my wrist because the swelling was so bad in my hand, and I didn't like. I was like, oh, I can't even grapple properly. I can't even fully use this hand to grab stuff. But then I realized, like, I did a tiny bit of pads warming up, and I was like, I think I can land with this. I just don't want to yet. And then in the middle of the fight, it was like, yep, I can land with this. And obviously the adrenaline's pretty high, so you're not feeling it as much. So once I started to hit with it, it was like, okay, go for him. Just go for him with the hands. What's the worst that can happen? You break it worse, grand. And like, I'm really proud of having that attitude towards it, because look where it's gone. Look where that got me. Like, look at where, like, and like, I don't want to shine on too much about it, but the reason that could happen is I'd done so much work before that point to be that good, to be able to beat a guy like him with a broken hand. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that even when shit hit the fan, I had the goods to go, yeah, you know what? I've other things in my locker here, and I can go in and beat this guy regardless. And because of that, because of having that skill set and being in that position, now look where I am. So like the work where it felt like it might not matter, it really did matter in the end. So all those days of showing up when nobody else gave a shit and there was no opportunity, they paid off, because it led me to get to this point. And that, like, I'm like, in a way, you would like to think in life that effort equals reward to a degree. That day it did, and in that situation it did. So very gratifying. Like, I'm really grateful for the fact that it happened, but like, it's really gratifying when something like that pays off.
Yeah, and that got you the big stadium fight, right, in Frankfurt with
Yeah, and then I knocked the
Pavel
shit out of
Langer.
Langer in that one. That was lovely. Like, that's still my
Different.
favorite performance. I still, like, I watched that video and I'm like, yeah, that was class.
I mean, even from the walkout and stuff. I mean, what was the overall experience of that? Because they'd done stadium shows before, but not to that scale, right? I was fortunate enough to be there to see it, and I was there right from the very beginning when the stadium was filling up. Like, we had to get in with the fans to start with. It was absolute nightmare getting to the stadium, but once we got in, it was an incredible experience. But you had about a 3-mile ring walk to actually get to the cage, right?
Yeah.
And
it was funny,
trying to stay warm, and it was a mad
was
one,
different.
a mad one.
It was, and like, it was a really unique experience. And like, I think it was a bit surreal, like getting to the stadium and walking around, because we went out before I fought and like just had a look around, and we're like stood by the cage, and you look up and there's a huge tier of fans, and then you look over that and there's another huge tier. So it was like, whoa. Like, but the thing is, like you said, the ring walk was so long. By the time you actually get in the cage, the crowd feels like it's way over there. So you kind of feel like everybody's just watching you on a screen. Like, not many people are close enough for you to actually have any, like, feeling of their noise and the audience and the buzz of it. So it nearly felt like you're more of a spectacle thing. And physically, it was October in an open air stadium, so it was cold enough. So I just remember, like, I was the first one to walk as well, so I was in the cage for a while. And I remember being like, I physically have to warm up. Like, so I was doing a good bit of like intense shadow box in the cage just to stay moving and stay sweating. Look, it worked. Like, I feel like, you know, as soon as that fight started and I threw the first couple of punches, I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready and I'm catching him unaware. And it worked out well. Like, I think that's the second shortest fight I've ever had. Once I got moving, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be able to set my shots up here. And I did. And like, look, fair play, Paul. Like, he came in, he performed to the, like, that guy, in fairness, took the hardest fight out there. He was the number one contender at that time. Nobody wanted to fight me. He did. Fair play to him. But like, yeah, I'm very proud of that performance. I'm very glad the way that went.
Everybody, as a fighter, you have to have this bulletproof confidence when you step into the cage, right? Because if you don't, then you're in trouble, right? You've got to have that. You've got to have that steely determination and confidence that you're going to get it done. But even so, when you're on such a huge stage and you're fighting a guy who is tenured in the promotion, like Pavel was, to get him out of there and to face plant him in the way that you did, what sort of adrenaline rush does that give you? Because obviously, in your own mind you're going to win when you step in the cage, right? You know you're going to win when you leave the dressing room, because that's how you have to think. But when it actually happens, and the realization that, yes, it's happened, I've just sparked the guy in front of 60,000 fans, and now big things are coming. What's that? What's that emotion like in the moment when it actually happens?
It's funny, but I'm really glad this was captured on camera, because my whole thing with that was I'm going to knock him out and I'm going to call Carlos out. And I didn't like consciously, I wasn't aware that I knew exactly where Carlos was. But as soon as the ref touches my back, I turned to Carlos because he's only a couple of feet away from me. Like, I didn't plan this, but this happened. My brain did this. Ref touches me without even blinking. I turned to Carlos and I was like, "You're next." So I must have known where he was. My brain must have been somewhere conscious, like, because I don't look around for him. I turn to exactly where he is. I walk over to the cage and I'm like, "You're next." And like, in one way, it's probably a bad idea because, like, try to get that guy to fight you now. But in fairness, he did. So, like, that, like, I'm very grateful for the way things worked out because, like, that was an amazing moment. That was an amazing thing to do. I'm really proud of the fact that I am that guy. um, I thought I would have been more shocked. I was like, I think it was just the way that fight went. That 90 seconds was like, I'm going to be able to land. I'm going to be able to land. And honestly, it was weird. It was the shot that put him down. Didn't feel like a, because I cracked him with a really nice Russian jab before that. It was quite a heavy shot and it hit him like stiff on the chin, but his chin was solid. And I think the shot that, like, it was just such a quick, snappy backhand that touched him. I think he didn't see it coming at all. And it just rotated his chin in that way that, like, he didn't see it. And that's what, like, because it didn't feel like the hardest shot. And what was funny, like, another thing I'm really proud of, like, you can see I hit it and then I step back and I actually land the second one as he's going down because I thought his head was coming at me to try to take me down. And then it was only once the ref touched me, I realized, like, oh, lovely, he's out. And, like, very quick, the whole thing, like, look, I love the footage of that. I like, every time I watch it, I'm like, yeah, that's a very boss moment. Like, because like, I'm very, like, grateful for how that went. But I'm like, you can see in the moment, there's an expectation and there's a preparation of, like, that's what's next now. Call Carlos. And that was where my head went to, and it was cool. I was very proud of
Yeah, it's almost like you manifested it from start to finish. The way it sort of, you
that.
said what was
Yeah,
going
and
to
like,
happen, you went out and did it, and then you got the end result that you wanted. You said this, and then it all just played out in front, almost
yeah,
exactly as you'd said. You had obviously you got the fight with Carlos, and Carlos is known for dragging people into deep waters and drowning them. That's what he does, right? He's made a career out of it, and particularly in Octagon, that's how he tends to go about his work. He just goes in there, just drowns people with pressure. So you'd had the two relatively quick wins leading into the title fight with Carlos. This was a different kind of fight and a different kind of win.
yeah,
But how
yeah.
much, in some ways, was it more satisfying that you kind of beat him at his game, if you like? You went into deep waters with him. You came out to 25 minutes. It was your hand being raised. Was that an extra source of satisfaction rather than just going in and maybe clipping him in the first 60 seconds of the fight?
I'll be honest. Like, if I could go back and finish him, I'd like to have finished. Like, I was really expecting to be able to knock him out that night. And to be honest, if I'd done my homework, I would have prepared more for that low head position. Um, I feel like I probably didn't respect how tough Carlos was enough, and he showed it to me that night. And look, like, I dominated the whole fight, but I missed a lot of straight backhands. I missed a lot of, like, opportunities to finish him, and it was not clinical on my behalf. But maybe in a way, for the Czech fans, for Carlos, for Octagon as a promotion, that actually all worked out quite well because he got to keep his dignity. He got to show how tough he was. It was a nice passing of the torch moment. And the two of us, like, I really genuinely respect the fuck out of him for the amount of punishment he took that night. And I know that he knows, like, I was obviously fit. I was obviously a high level fighter. And even, like, afterwards, he was very complimentary. It was nice, like, the way it all worked out suited everybody to a degree. He got to keep his dignity. I got to get the belt. I got to kind of show I'm the man here now. But I'm like, I would like, if you could, if you could give me that highlight reel of catching him clean on the chin and putting him on the floor, not from a personal point of view, but those are the moments I work for, man. Those are the things I want to do. Like, so, as a fighter, that's your job. You want to create that. And that night, I genuinely tried and I couldn't. And then people thought, like, in that third round, people were like, oh, Fleury stepped off the gas. He's going easy on him. I didn't. I tried. Like, I wasn't holding back, you know.
But what it did do, even though that wasn't the game plan, obviously, it showed another side to your game, right? To the OKTAGON fans in particular, and the fans in the Czech Republic, that you're not just going in there and sparking. But obviously, you can go in there and spark people. You can go in there and finish people with submissions. But if needed, you've got the gas tank and you've got the IQ to go through a long fight, a 5-round fight, no less, right? And to emerge victorious that way. So that ticks another box for people who are learning about Will Fleury, right? So, and you mentioned about the reaction that you got from the Czech fans and all the rest of it. How obviously when you come into a promotion like that, it's an overseas promotion. You're kind of an outsider walking in, and how did that change after that fight? Did you get a sense that you felt more part of the establishment, or you got more respect from the Czech fans as a result of going toe to toe with him for 5 rounds and beating him?
Like, to be honest, I felt a very different buzz from the fans after that fight. Like, I felt very much like these people know who you are. They know what you're about now. Before that, I was the foreign guy. I was kind of the guy coming in, talking a lot of crap, cocky guy, all this type of thing. Since then, they're like, Fleury's the man. And especially like from the Czech fans, I really feel that. And it's cool. It's nice. Like, I've been in Prague a few times since. I had to get my second hand surgery over in Prague. I love the buzz with the fans there. They're cool. They're great fans. I know this time last year, everybody was booing me and that, like, obviously I'm fighting a Czech guy and he's their guy, so they're going to back him. But I've been amazed at the amount of, like, respect and even just, like, the amount of crack that I can have with the Czech fans since, like, because they're cool. They're good people. Like, they're a good buzz. They're even different to an Irish audience and they're a bit more, like, supportive and real. And, like, I feel more of a connection with them than I have ever with the Irish fan base, to be honest, which is strange. And look, like, I don't know if that's just that it's a way bigger platform over there. So, like, it's like when I go over there, straight away, people know what you're about. They know who you are. They know what you're kind of trying to represent. And I can feel that from them, you know. It's cool. It's really cool. And I'm really glad at how it's all worked out, thank God.
Yeah, and that got you the 205 belt. You're a champion in OKTAGON. You then get the opportunity to fight for the heavyweight belt against Lazar Todev, who in many ways was quite unlucky in his career that he wasn't already holding the belt when you fought him.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I think he would have won that.
And everything that happened with Hatif Moel and all of that stuff. But you went in there, another tough fight against a seasoned heavyweight. Obviously, it's a different fight, different weight class, but he's a smallish heavyweight. He's quite compact for a heavyweight, very powerful, very durable. Had to go the distance with him again. Again, you're in sort of enemy territory. I know he's Bulgarian, but he trains out of Germany, I think. So you're fighting in Stuttgart. Yeah. How was that experience for you, and what sort of difference? How did it feel, sort of just physically, for you fighting up at heavy compared to at 205?
I think Lazar was a unique challenge in the fact that he's not a massive guy, but my God, is he well built? He's really well constructed, Now, in fairness, he was 109 in that fight, and, like, if you look at it on the video, even, like, that's the most jacked I've seen him by far. Like, he looked in ridiculously good shape, very big, very lean. Like, the guy can hit too. He's technically good. He has a good, solid, like, shape. He keeps his distance well under pressure. Like, the few times I managed to kind of land at the right time and crack him, he did the right thing. He just got out of there. He got on his bike and he moved out, and he made it a priority to just get away from the big shots when they were coming. So even though I managed to crack him clean, his chin was good enough and he was smart enough to get out of bad situations a few times. The third round, I got close to finishing him at one point, but when I didn't and he came back fresh in that fourth round, man, that was like, it was a really tough fight. That's the toughest fight I've ever been in. And he can crack, like, he can really hit too. Like, you look at my face at the end of that fight, the guy can land. Like, I'm just really proud to have done enough to win that fight. And it's the toughest fight I've ever been in. I feel like he gets a lack of credit for how good he is. I think, like, if you look at Todev and you look at Buday, Todev's actually a better skilled fighter. I know Buday's a lot bigger, but if you look at the way Todev moves for a heavyweight, you look at the way he puts things together, like, he's good, man. He's really good. And I just, like, I'll be honest, like, he's the boogeyman in that division, and I think nobody gives him the respect he deserves. He can go in and smash, like, I think if you put Dolph against Buday, Dolph beats him, you know? So it's on me. Like, I'm the guy who beat Dolph, so I gotta go and smash Buday now. But yeah, I just feel like incredibly tough fight. A really, like, hard fight to be involved in. And I honestly, like, he's from Stuttgart, like, he's from Bulgaria, obviously, but he lives in Stuttgart or around that area. I feel like the lack of respect he got that night was a bit mad. And the lack of respect he's got from the fans since then, they're like, he's gone and beat Luis Henrique da Silva or whoever it was. And I know it wasn't the most exciting fight, but he just controlled that guy pretty easily. And the guy was, in UFC, and the guy the guy wouldn't come forward because he knew how good Tanev was. Do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, like, he's a good fighter, basically, and proud to have beaten him.
Yeah, and you sort of hinted a little bit at the differences in style between Todev and Martin Buday, who you've got this weekend. Obviously, Buday, he's come to Octagon. A lot of people were surprised that he was freed up to do that. They thought that he might, he probably would have got another deal with the UFC. He's in Octagon. Never lost in Octagon, was former champion in Octagon. Coming in against yourself. How different is this fight going to look compared to the other fights you've had so far? Because this is probably size-wise the biggest guy you've shared the cage with in Octagon, at least.
Oh, well, definitely ever. Like, sure, I haven't been heavyweight up until my last fight, and he's a big, big heavyweight. He cuts weight to get down. I've sparred with a lot of guys that size over the years, and to be honest, recently I haven't even got that many guys who are anywhere near that big. But I look at the skill set he's bringing, and look, size is definitely a factor, but skill is a huge factor as well. And I'd like to think that I'm that much more skilled that I can just go in and make a show of this guy. That's the plan. I want to make that a reality. So far, I've done the work to make everything real, and I've gone in and done it. I'm really excited about having the opportunity to go in and show this, like, and just having this platform to go and be like, yeah, I'm Will Fleury. I do special things. I do the work, and then I go in and do it. To me, it was frustrating for a while there because I was the double champ and nobody would fight. I had guys like Voskeren who were calling me out and then running away. It got frustrating, man. And you have fans in Germany who don't get what the reality is, and they're messaging you and telling you like, oh, Voskeren will take your legs home. And it's like, man, this fight would be over in less than a minute if it ever happens. And the guy knows the reality is he knows what'll happen. So I was getting a bit pissed off with all that. And then the Martin situation happened. And like you said, I didn't think he'd get caught. I thought he's after beating Buchecha, 14-time jiu-jitsu world champion. Why would they cut the guy? And then they did. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. But hey, it's happened. And it's great for me, thank God. So a lot of things have worked well for me. Krzysztof getting injured back in last November and Carlos being available for that December fight then. It's a lot of things have fallen into place to make this a reality, man. I know there's a lot of luck involved for this to have all happened the way it has, but there's a lot of work on my behalf to have made this real as well. And I hope, I know so far people are seeing that, they're seeing the results of that. I'm so determined to make this keep working, and I get that things outside of my control have fallen into place to allow this to happen. Oh my God, anything under my control, I'm making it work for me. So, yeah, just very determined to make the most of this opportunity.
One interesting point to this is obviously you're a light heavy who's moved up to heavy. You're fighting now a heavyweight who cuts to make the heavyweight limit. There's two schools of thought when you're sort of prepping, I would imagine, for this is, do you try and work on bulking up and strength to try to match him size-wise? Or do you go kind of a little bit the other way and accentuate the speed aspect that you should have a speed advantage over him? So how do you balance that out? Because you don't want to get mauled by the guy in the clinch, but by the same time, you don't want to be so heavy that the speed advantage is diminished. So how do you balance that out?
I've gone for the speed route, and it's gone, it's movement that's going to win this fight. That's the way I'm looking at it, and it's a lot more exciting for the fan watching as well to see a guy who's just going to dance, get out of there, ping, 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 dance, get out, ping, ping, ping. And that's the skill of fighting. A bigger man coming in and trying to overpower you and being good enough technically at what you're doing and smooth enough and being able to move enough. That's the beauty of this thing. That's why it's martial arts. It's not just two guys bludgeoning each other. So it's on me to make that obvious and make it work. And like the proof is in the pudding. If you can go in and knock that guy out without him catching you or without him touching you and without him like laying hands on you fully, then you've proved you're that guy. And to me, I've done the work to be that guy, so just go in and show it.
Brilliant. And you've won fights very, very quickly. You've won fights going the full distance, going in the trenches. Which outcome seems more likely when you look at this fight?
I'd like to end this early, to be honest. I think if he comes at me, and it depends on Martin a bit, like what he decides to do. So if he tries to rush things and he thinks like, I can get this guy out of there early, great, it's going to be over early because I'm going to be able to ping you. If he does what he normally does, sits back a little bit, waits, I think the end of the third or the fourth round, like when you watch it, he's quite fit for a big guy. He stays moving quite well for the first like 6-7 minutes. After about 7 or 8 minutes, his footwork breaks down a little bit. He gets a bit more static. It just depends on how he starts to go. Once he starts to try and be aggressive, yeah, he'll get finished. I'd prefer to finish early, obviously. It's nice. You get out of there without too many injuries, too many lumps and bumps. But if it goes the distance, I've shown plenty of times, man, I can do 5 rounds and we can go keep slogging. And you try and bring me to deep waters, man, I'm well used to that shit. So like.
Yeah. So you've had 3 fights in 2024. This will be the second one in 2025. Spinning it forward to 2026, you get the result you want on Saturday, December 28th. What does an ideal 2026 look like for Will Fleury?
Look, there's a lot of options open. I've talked a bit about being a triple champ. I still think that's on the table. I'd love to go and do something like that. Like, my number one thing is I'm here to leave a legacy. I'm here to show that I'm not just your average fighter. I'm something a bit different. I'm something special. I think I've done that so far. I think a lot of the Czech fans have bought into that. I want to go and show the German fans that if we can make some fights with some of the bigger German guys a reality. The problem is they're all fucking pussies. And like, I don't want to be some shit talker and like just selling them, but that's it. That's what this is. Like, there's a bunch of German guys out there who have a bit of a profile, but they're afraid to fight. If they can sign in some guys who will be big over there, who will give me the opportunity to go in and show the skill set that I have and how good I am, great. If not, I'll go elsewhere. I'll go down to the middleweight division. I'll smash some guys down there. Like, I see Voskron's gone down for a catch weight. I'm already like, I'm a small heavyweight. I'm not that massive for a light heavy. I can get down to catch weights. These guys are hunting me. I can come hunt you too, and you're not fucking hunting me. Don't be full of shit. Oh, we'll see. Like, there's plenty of options. That's the main thing. And like, I have 2 belts to defend. Once somebody actually wants the challenge for them belts and once somebody's open to defending. I just want them to be big fights. I want it to be like a special event, like the opportunity to go and do something significant. And in fairness, that's what this Martin Buday fight's about. It's a real thing. Like, it's a big thing. So I've yet to refuse a fight. Like, I've yet to refuse any fight. And even like, there's guys like, I think Kareem Harris is the only guy who's legitimately challenged me out. Great, cool. Like, he looks like he's well up for it. There's guys there who want to fight, there's one guy there who wants to fight anyway. As long as I'm fit and healthy, man, I'm willing to defend the belts whenever. I want to be an active champion, but I want to be a champ who's doing like significant things that leave a fucking proper legacy.